All right, hello everybody. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. Absolutely thrilled today. I am chatting with the one and only Shawn Maddy of Eallic, killer extreme metal band from here in my home state, Utah. So very, very excited to be chatting with you today, Shawn. Thanks so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure for me to chat with you too, bud.
Awesome. How you doing?
I'm good. Saturday.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Got no complaints on a Saturday.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I've got my coffee. It's nice and quiet. Yeah, hasn't warmed up yet, but it's nice out. So,
Yeah, sun's out. That's right.
yeah. I did want to ask you, kind of right off the bat, so what's going on? What's new? I know you have, well, it's actually, I believe, been finished up for a little while, but not yet released. You guys have an EP coming out here pretty quickly. So, yeah, maybe chat about that a little bit. Tell us what's going on with that.
Yeah, so right about the time Reiki the Astral Leviathan came out back in December, I had a few songs that were not quite finished. I wouldn't necessarily call them like leftovers, but they just weren't finished. They weren't going to make the time, so I just held them back and continued to plug away at those up until about April of this year, and then got them mixed and mastered and had some songs ready about a month later. Nice. For an EP, and so it includes 3 new original tracks, one of which has already come out. It's called Cruel Couture. I did a single back in September, and the reason why I did a single now is because I would like the music to come out digitally with a physical copy, and I'm still kind of waiting for my turn, waiting in the queue for a physical release. But it is ready to go. One song's come out, Cruel Couture, like I said, back in September. And it'll be 4 total songs, 3 original songs that no one would have heard before. And then I redid a song from a demo that Brett and I did a really long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Back in 2007, 2008, under the moniker Marum, we did a demo. And one of the songs I really liked, and it was just sounded like crap. So I thought I gotta try this again and see if I can do something else with this, and love it. It turned out really cool. So 4 tracks, the EP. I've not talked about the title yet.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek parody homage with another famous album. And so yeah, I'll talk about that more in a little bit, I think. But
cool.
Do an art reveal, it'll make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I saw the little hint that you posted.
Any guesses by the hint? Is it way too cryptic?
No. It definitely looked like Iron Maiden Killer's album cover from what I could see. It just with the hands, but I don't know. Maybe it's something else.
I'll say you're nice and warm.
Cool. Very cool. Well, so for those that don't know Eallic, let's kind of talk about that a little bit. Talk about the band. Talk about what you guys represent. Kind of what you play. How. I mean, one of the things I think for me that really drew me to your band and to your sound is just this, for lack of a better term, there's this kind of complex blending of styles that and sometimes within the same song, which I thought was really cool and really compelling. I think of for instance, like a song like was it KRJJL?
Yeah, Kurgel. That's the name of the Lovecraft ripoff on the cover. His name's Kurgel.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the kind of starts off with this kind of death doom vibe, and then there's black metal elements and even some thrash elements as well in there. So yeah, I was really curious about kind of how you write, I'm sorry, this is a big loaded question.
That's all right. I'm following you.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really kind of curious about kind of just your approach to music, really, I guess, for lack of a better term.
So I remember having conversations with my brother a long time ago, back when we were much younger. And we had developed a taste for what I just called heavy metal at the time. Later heavy metal took on this actual subgenre where I just assumed it encompassed everything. So I was a big fan of power metal and progressive metal and black metal. And I thought it was really interesting that you'd have one guy who was in this death metal band and he had this side project that was this other stuff. And I thought, I don't understand why that needs to be. Why can't people just play what they like?
Yeah.
And so that's actually kind of where this comes from. And I think I can root that back to, have you ever listened to the Saigon Kick album, Water?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so that's the one that came right after The Lizard. and Jason Beeler did everything, and it kind of happened last minute. Members quit. He's in the studio. What do we do? And he put out this album that is just, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like trumpet solos and stuff like that going on at a time when that wasn't very common. Gospel choirs. It's all over the place, all of his influences. And I ate that crap up. I just loved it. It was all over the place. And so we had that mentality even back in 2007 when we were writing the demo. It's like we liked Cannibal Corpse, and we liked black metal, and we liked, I don't know, Gothenburg stuff. We just tried to make that work. And so unfortunately, it might come across as a little jarring to some people. I had several people who've told me, yeah, I turned the album on, Rake of the Astral Leviathan, and that first song's got like this Merciful Fate squealing and power metal stuff going on. I wasn't expecting it at all. But really that just happened because, first off, I like a lot of different kinds of music.
Right.
And I didn't play for close to 10 years. Life just kind of got in the way. And then about 2019, I decided it was probably time to try this again. And then when the pandemic hit, I feel like it almost gave me an excuse.
Right.
And so I bought a cheap PC and an audio interface and wrote an album. I just was trying to write songs based on riffs that I thought were interesting. It's like, I want to take a stab at this Storm Warrior, Gamma Ray stuff, or just whatever came to my mind. And that's just the mentality I've always had is I think there is a place for music that's all over the place like that. I think finding people like you who have a wide taste in music is what I'm after, because I think we're similar in that regard.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like it gives you more tools, more things to play with. You can be slightly interesting. If that's off-putting to some people, that's just going to be how it is. But
right.
Yeah, hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, I find your music fascinating. I think it's like I said, I think it's very compelling. But it's still accessible. I mean, it's not like it's, some, crazy experiment,
Yeah.
it's great song structure, excellent playing, excellent lyrics. I mean, it's
Appreciate that.
it's fun to listen to. I mean, it's, and when I first played, I've got it right here. When I first picked up the album and put it on, yeah, I was blown away. I was transfixed. It was like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Something like this, but that blends all these styles, but in a really organic way. That's what it feels like to me. It doesn't feel like you've just thrown musical style. Yeah, it works. It like I said, I think it feels very organic. And even the tracks where you're blending multiple styles on the same track, it just kind of, like I said, I think it really blends well into each other. It
That's great.
doesn't feel jarring to me at all. I'm sure there's some people that might be like, whoa, this is, I mean, it is extreme metal. So
yeah. I think based on the small fan base I've accumulated, it's definitely more centered in death metal.
Yeah.
And so, death metal people will have feelings about clean vocals and stuff like that. And I kind of expect that. But it feels good for me to like have such a hiatus and come back, and like the first 8 or 9 songs I put together are received pretty well. And so I feel like in the future, the areas that I feel could use some improvement, that are jarring or whatever, would be improved just for practice and experience. And it's been a lot of fun to reconnect and do this. And so Eallic is myself and Brett, my brother, and he hasn't really had much time to contribute the way we used to. And so it's like 95.7% me.
Okay.
And he brings his voice in when I ask him to. But yeah, I think at some point I hope to resurrect him, get him on board, because I think he's far better songwriter, guitar player than I am.
Oh,
I really look forward to that. But
yeah, and that's one thing. Yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, yeah, it's you and your brother, and you mentioned it's mostly you. So you're playing pretty much every instrument.
Yeah, drum machine is the only exception. I'm not capable of playing the drums. But yeah, it's really interesting too. As I started recording, I wasn't able to do harsh vocals. I never really figured it out. Brett did the vocals back in the day. He's got a really good voice, kind of borders on this Peter Tägtgren yucky sound, I think, and I've always really liked it. But I was coming home from the grocery store, and I was listening to it was an Unleash the Archers song. It would have been one of the newer singles at the time, just back in 2020. So I can't remember, The Awakening, that album had just come out. And at the very tail end of the song, you could hear Brittany is like, she's layering vocals, and you can just hear this tail end of this growl. And it was really weird. Something clicked for me that I'd never really heard before. And I just immediately made the sound.
Huh.
And I was like, oh, is that it? Is that how you do it? So I like recorded it, sent it to my brother, and I said, Brett, is this how you growl, dude? I don't know if this is right. He's like, yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. So I came home and then basically did the song Marham the Unconquered in like 2 days, all the vocals.
Oh, cool.
Just laid it down, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can be independent now. I don't even freaking need him. That was pretty cool.
Nice. That's great. So how did this all start for you? Music. Did you come from a musical family? Like, how did you start? And especially you're multi-instrumental too. Is how did you grow into all of this?
Yeah, so we were quite a musical family as I grew up. Everybody played the piano. I have 3 older siblings, all of which took piano lessons, and it became my turn when I was about 9. And so I did really well the first couple years. It really clicked. And then we kind of got to a phase where it was time to learn theory and really practice scales and the ins and outs of why music works. And it's like I went off a cliff, man. I just could not hang. And so I went through the motions for a few years. And then by the time I was 13, I was done with the piano. But I had learned a fair bit of music that way. So aside from that, it was just always in the house. Piano music. My dad, he listened to a lot of classic rock, Zeppelin and Floyd and Boston and American stuff, Styx, and then classical music. So we had Brahms and Beethoven and Dvorak and Rachmaninoff in the house. It was just always music in the house.
Cool.
So I kind of gleaned from that. And then my older brother, who's 7 years older than me, he was a kid in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm born in 84. And so I just sucked in what he listened to. So he was Metallica, Megadeth, Guns N' Roses, all of that kind of stuff I got access to through him. And so that was probably my introduction to the music, at least the gateway into the music that I listen to now. Listening to the radio, gleaning some stuff off friends. As far as extreme stuff, that was that came about much later. I remember I graduated in 2002, and Megadeth had just broken up, and I was just like running out of stuff to listen to. I wasn't listening to anything with harsh vocals. It scared me. It made me, I just didn't like it. But I'd either come across this on my own, or someone had tipped me off that Darby on K-Bear was running a Sunday night program called Radio Chaos. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah. So I listened to Radio Chaos one Sunday. And in that Sunday, I'd heard In Flames, Pinball Map. I heard, I think, Follow the Hollow from Soilwork, Natural Born Chaos, Deliverance from Opeth, handful of other stuff. And I was just floored. I was like, I could not believe this stuff was even out there.
Yeah.
And so that opened up the floodgates, living at Graywell, just writing lists down and just eating everything up from then. And it was such a fun transition from classic heavy metal, American thrash, to get into power, black, death, everything.
Yeah.
So the learning piano helped me to understand music theory to some degree. And when I was about 15 years old, I picked up the guitar. My parents had a nylon string classical guitar, and so that's what I would fart around on. And so it was just learning power chords, learning to play some Black Sabbath songs and AC/DC and easy stuff. And then eventually I borrowed an electric guitar from a buddy of mine who had great ambitions but never did anything, and convinced my younger brother Brett to get a bass guitar and a neighbor to get a drum set, and we'd piddle around in a garage trying to play Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and Slayer, Iron Maiden eventually, that kind of stuff. And so that's basically where it came from. By the time I was, early 20s, I was really trying to learn how, and went at it for a couple of years, and it just, life took over. Just couldn't really get much traction when you got to have meaningful relationships and get a career in school and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the background. My musical influence largely came from family. My parents. I hear people sometimes they cringe at the music their parents listen to, but that's not the case for me. I love the Carpenters. That kind of stuff was in my house, and that stuff is just as important to me as extreme music.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's important to have an open mind when you know, especially with music, especially if you're a musician. I'm always dismayed, I guess, when I find out, you know, that somebody, you know, just listens to one style and that's it, and they don't expand out
Me
and look at
too. I
everything else.
can't understand that.
Yeah, I think
Can't
it's
understand. There's not
strange.
enough variety and interest there. Like brutal and heavy, it only gets you so far.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's interesting too, Kirk, when you hear people talk about how extreme musicians like don't even listen to extreme music.
right.
They listen to
Yeah,
like house music and
yeah,
all sorts of interesting things you never would figure.
yeah, yeah. I was talking to Alex Books of Immolation not too long
Oh
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, he listens to, I mean, he does listen to metal, but he listens to a lot of like 80s pop and new wave music. He loves it. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I like that stuff too. So
Me too.
yeah, which yeah, I think it's you know, and especially, you know, it's interesting, I think, and I don't know if this is the case for you. I know it's different for a lot of different musicians. When you're writing new material, do you find that you listen to similar music or less or
Yeah.
not at all? Or
Yeah. So I'm working on a split right now. So the EP's been done for a while, and I'm just doing a couple random songs, hoping to line up a split with somebody. I always love splits. I think they're a lot of fun. And one of the songs it's shaping up to be very kind of Swedish death metal, like HM2 almost. And so yeah, I find myself listening to a lot of Paganizer and Dismember and just trying to spark that ugly sound. And so I do find that either I'll hear something from a different band and it will start to make some movement in my brain, or I'll just create something that comes together organically that I can kind of connect to something.
mm,
And yeah, I like that inspiration and borrowing ideas that way. Like, how do they handle the transition this way? Like, how would they handle a breakdown this way? And just see if it sparks any interest or any ideas. And that happens a lot. Yeah, but I do listen to music constantly. It's on in the car all the time. At least when I'm driving or at home, it's on a lot. And I try and be varied about what I listen to, because I think it does help me to be creative and expand in my brain just ideas. I think it matters for me.
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, it's interesting how different musicians their take on that. I find that fascinating. I'm not a musician myself, but so I find that interesting because I was talking to somebody recently. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, they are currently writing an album and they can't listen to anything. They don't listen to music while they're writing. And one, I think the fear of influence that they don't want,
I could see that.
you know, so you know, even if it's subconscious, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah, I find that fascinating because I'm the same type of person where I always listen to music. I'm always listening to music. It's constant. Yeah, in the car, work. You know, got earbuds in, whatever. You know, I'm always listening to music. So
One of the things I'll do now is that since Brett's not very active in writing the music, he's kind of my filter a little bit.
mm,
And so I'll send stuff to him and say, please let me know, does this sound like something obvious to you? And even if I could have an influence that I don't tell him about, or I could be completely unknown by me. I don't even recognize an influence, and that's helped. He said, yeah, that's actually a little close to this,
mm.
and I can make a mild change or something like that. But yeah, I could see how some people could do no music, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if you're a painter, you got to be involved in paint somehow. You got to be around it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, I was curious with being, you know, basically a two-piece band. Are there talks? Have you and your brother discussed ever doing live shows? You know, hiring drummer or something and getting out there and playing some shows. Ever
I've had a lot of
considered
people ask me that, and I'll never say never, but it's not a big focus for me.
it?
So I'm 38 years old, and the idea of trying to recruit people who would play the things that I'd want them to play, the way I'd want them to play them, myself even to like practice to the point of feeling really confident live. It just seems like so much work. It does. It just seems like it would be a lot of work, and I won't disparage anybody who plays live. I love live music. I go to it all the time, but sometimes it's a lot of work for not a lot of payoff. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? I
right.
think that the expression and being able to do that is huge. I performed a little bit when I was younger. It's a big deal to get up there on stage there's feelings of power and all that stuff. But I don't know. I feel like at some point it probably would be fun to do, but there's no plans right now. I think that the next big evolution for me is to make enough connections in the world to find someone to do live drums on the recordings.
Cool.
Because I think that's cool. That's just an extra step. There's so many people that do things that I do in their basement and they create music. It's like a double-edged sword because there's never been a more accessible or better time to write music, which is fantastic. Art should be made, but there's just a massive amount of people, just one-man, two-man bands. And I don't, maybe there's a legitimacy thing with having somebody else who can at least hit the drums. I don't know. That's just one of the things that I feel like that's maybe one step closer to playing live is finding some people that really can contribute on the drums, music wise, something like that.
Well, I think it's interesting. You mentioned, writing and creating an album in your basement, which I think, it's a cool age that and with the technology that we have now. And I mean, when you and I were kids, that's unheard of. The idea that a band could exist and produce their own music independently. I mean, it happened back then a little bit, but it was, it was demo tapes that didn't sound very good. And now you've got, high quality albums.
Incredible stuff. Yeah, everything I did was in what they call in the box. Everything I did was plugins. And then the individual who mixed it, Philip Toogood up in Bountiful, everything he did was in the box. Like we didn't, well, no, I take that back. We did do some reamping, but everything that he didn't use on our outboard gear. It was all done with the computer, which is just, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
When we cut the demo for Marum back in 2007, I had this copy of Sonar 5 or something. It was a Cakewalk plugin. And, we didn't know anything, but it was like, it took so much CPU power to run this thing. And it sounds terrible, but like, I felt really good at the time having something in my house to record this demo with.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't easy to do. And now, any schlub, I'm proof of that. Any schlub can plug into a computer and make music. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. Well, and I think, just in terms of accessibility as well, just discovering there's so much more out there than, I mean, sometimes it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah, that's the challenge. That's the hard part. The trade-off is you're competing with so much, and it's good quality stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just think of some individuals like Black Braid or the Cavean album that came out earlier this year. I think those are one-man shows.
Yeah.
And they're incredible. There's tough competition for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. Yeah, as you mentioned, one-man shows. It's in Blood Red. I don't know if you heard Blood Red.
Yeah,
one guy in Poland. I think he's in Poland, and he makes incredible black metal stuff by himself. I guess the only drawback of that is as far as a fan, you'll never see these people play live.
Yeah, I get that.
Unless they hire a band. Like yourself, so that was the reason I asked too. It's it's a little selfish. I just want to see you live. So I want to,
I'll never say never. We may put something together at some point. Both of us are capable enough to play.
Right.
And I could, I'm sure I could find someone to play bass guitar pretty easily, run some samples or have someone use a keyboard. It's just the practice to get in and really hone it. So it's a good experience for you.
Right. Yeah. Or I could just come and hang out in your basement someday.
That's it. That's what I've said that to some people. Just come down, man. I'll put a backing track and I'll just wail for you in my basement.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, nice. So with the, you've got the new EP coming out hopefully soon. You said you're just kind of waiting. You're in the queue waiting for that. Do you have? Are you writing new material? Maybe it's too little, too early, but it seems like you're constantly writing especially your video casts that that you post where you're talking about writing and doing new music. Are you looking to do a follow-up full album to Rake?
Yeah, so currently working on a split. There will be 2, maybe 3 songs. 2 main songs. I might do like a small interlude song that I'll shop around for a split. But yeah, I've got another big grandiose idea, concept album that's got this whole world, characters that are built into that I hope to be able to milk for a long time.
Oh, cool.
And so I've got a whole bunch of concepts. I've got 2 songs for that are probably about 70% done. And really, I think the thing that's stalling me there is I'm not quite able to execute all the stuff that I want to play yet. I have to work into that.
Okay.
And so I don't want to rush. I don't want to rush that stuff. But I think what I've done is I've given myself a nice, maybe 2-year gap to really work on that record, because you'll have an EP relatively soon, a split maybe sometime late next year, and that gives me plenty of time to really work on this stuff.
Nice.
And so yeah, it's sci-fi and kind of fantasy, which is they're things I really like. I like stories. I like nerd stuff, and I feel like owning your own nerd stuff is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's cool to talk about Tolkien. I'm as big a Tolkien fan as anybody, but there's a lot of people who talk about Tolkien.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what's in the pipeline right now is some world building and ideas for a full length sometime the next couple of years.
That's exciting. That's really cool. Yeah, and I mean the Rake is such a great album, and obviously, kind of the, that Lovecraftian, dark, weird sci-fi vibe going on there. So obviously that was, you already answered the question, but I was going to ask you if you read a lot of sci-fi and fantasy and kind of.
Yeah. So again, like Lovecraft has been played to death. So the next best thing is just to steal the concept and kind of make it your own. So Kurgel kind of obviously takes some inspiration from Cthulhu, but really the theme behind Rake started in 2 ways. First off, I just wanted to write some songs, and so I started with The Veil, which is the second to last track. That included riffs and ideas from a decade before, just stuff that never ever went down in demo form. They'd be kicking around in my brain. And then it was just like sequentially, I wrote More on the Unconquered because it was a death metal song, and the last song wasn't. The Veil's not that death metal. Then I wrote Desert Flare because it was different than More on the Unconquered. It's kind of speed metal. And then by the time I started Desert Flare, I really wanted to build this concept of having this idea, this story. And so the first 5 songs from Rake of the Astral Leviathan are all thematic, and then the ones at the end are just extra tracks. But so the idea, if I could talk about it real briefly, is Kurgel's this celestial entity. He's existed forever, and he's a planet destroyer. He just goes from place to place, feeding on whatever he can, resources, till it's gone. And after he's done, he lays thousands and thousands and thousands of eggs, shoots them off into space, and goes to sleep. And the idea is, as the eggs land, wherever they land in the universe, they would open a portal that would give him access to new places to go and conquer. And one of them happens to land on Earth, over here on the West Bench where I live, on the mountains of Kennecott. And they find it there, and it erupts, and he brings his terror to the earth. And so each of those songs is kind of talking about that. Desert Flare is the impact and the portal being opened. Passage M87 is the portal that he transfers through. Kurgel is all about him, and Valerian Sleep talks about our efforts to try and to rid him off. And it comes at a cost. As we kill him and he dies, his bones decompose and poisons the Earth's atmosphere, and everybody goes into this like permanent state of paralysis. So we don't win.
Nice. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's kind of the very quick explanation of what's going on with the music there.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it. I think it's great. I love I love, simple songs about love and death and whatever, but I love concept albums. I've always had an affinity for. Just
Me too.
Good storytelling is.
Operation Mindcrime kind of solidified that for me.
Yeah, definitely. That kind of stuff is always, it's very fascinating to me. It's and just a joy to listen to. And I'm an album guy too, so
me too. That's hard in today's environment,
Yeah, I would imagine.
You're supposed to live by singles and put a song out every 2 months, and like I want to write an album and send it out like that.
Yeah, it seems like with technology, with kind of it's streaming and all of that, it's almost like we've circled back to the 1950s in terms of how music's released.
Exactly.
And yes, like you said, it's singles. People buy singles. They don't, like it was then, everybody would go buy a 45 of Chuck Berry or whatever. It wasn't about the album. And yeah, I've always been an album guy, I think, and I think it's because of concept albums in a lot of ways, you know, like
Yeah.
Pink Floyd and things.
There's also something really fun about the tangible format, right? About
Yeah,
pulling the sheet out and looking at pictures and reading lyrics and all that stuff. And I don't know, I think that's lost on a lot of people. Even for me, for a long time, I had a massive CD collection back before digital was really big. And I remember just ended up throwing jewel cases away after a while. Just I'd kind of lost that connection. But once everything became digital, I yearned for it. I was like, I wish I had that stuff still. I'd love to pull those back up and read and look at the artwork, because I feel like artwork is as much a part of an album experience as the music. I
yeah,
think it's that is really critical to the experience.
right. And I that's a really good point, I think. And I think with what you've released too, you've surrounded yourself with great artwork, you know, great artists to, you know, you've hired great artists for your, you know, not just, I mean, this obviously is fantastic, but also the single you just recently put out on vinyl.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if it's the same artist.
No, so the guy who did Rake the Astral Leviathan, his name is John Quevedo Janssens. He's in Venezuela,
Hmm,
and I've actually used him for a lot of stuff already, and not all of it's come out, but he did two different designs for Rake the Astral Leviathan. Did the CD and the cassette, which are different art. It's different art, and then he's done a couple T-shirt designs, varying um, detail of Kyrgyl and stuff like that. So the single was done by Ian Colazzo. He goes by Claw8, Claw8 on Instagram. He does a lot of the layouts for Life After Death, and actually a lot of independent labels, a lot of small metal labels.
cool.
And yeah, he's just got an art connection, and he does this really kind of awesome dot style. I love his work, and he does fantastic stuff for not very much money. So that speaks to a one-man band. That's another thing, is like I'd love to have huge spreads, but art can get pricey. And as a
Yeah.
one-man show, it's hard to do that. But I believe it's important to get cool art. And so yeah, so the EP that I'm doing, John Quevedo Janssens did that. He's got a couple of the random things that I've purchased that I'll use for the full length. And then actually yesterday I commissioned a piece for probably a T-shirt, sticker designs.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be a fun play on the Utah beehive design.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Very cool. Yeah, and you can actually looks like the the single, the artwork is behind you right
Oh
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very cool.
backwards unfortunately, but that's
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah, that looks great. Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, that was something, you know, you mentioned that, you know, yeah, being a one-man show and that expense, and you actually um put that out yourself, right? That single on vinyl,
Mm-hmm.
which, yeah, I mean, which is very cool, and but I'm sure not an easy endeavor as well.
Yeah, so when this whole thing started, and I told my wife kind of what the plan was. I told her I need to invest in a little bit up front. In order to do it right, I've got to have some money. And we budget pretty well, and old man Trump had sent out some money from the government, and so she allowed me to use that to to kind of start. And so the nice thing for me is, past that initial investment to buy some equipment, to pay for mix time, I've not gotten all that money back, but everything I've done since then has been self-sustaining,
Mm.
either through Spotify streams, people buying merch, tapes, CDs, T-shirts, runs that I've done. So basically, all I'm doing, and this is good, and I like this, is I'm able to take the money from one venture, when it comes back, put it into the next one.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I chose to go lathe cut with the singles, and lathe cut uses a needle rather than a pressing,
Hmm.
and it's cheaper. It's just not quite as high fidelity. It's a real kind of old school way of doing vinyl records. So I found this group online, Tangible Formats, that does small print runs, which is really cool because vinyl is prohibitively expensive. And I would love to put stuff out on vinyl, but you're talking, $1,800 for 100 copies. I don't even know if I could sell 100 copies. That's the other thing. So this lathe cut option, you can get 20, 30. You can do full lengths. You can do singles, and they're not too much money. I think the whole run cost me just under $300.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very affordable.
So the money that I make back doesn't make huge profit. It pays for the venture, a couple extra bucks that I can just flip into something else to try and just keep attention on what we're doing. Because if I don't have music coming out, it's probably good to talk about other things, you know, whether it's a t-shirt design or a patch or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Um, well, Shawn, this has been incredibly great chatting with you today.
I appreciate it. I'm a big fan of your show since we
Oh, thank you.
connected several months ago. I've listened to interviews, and it's crazy to be on the same roster as Ross the Boss. And you did Gene Paulovicki, didn't you, a little while ago? I
Yeah,
mean, come on, guy's a hero of mine.
yeah, he's
It's
great.
unbelievable.
Yeah, really cool guy. I was lucky enough to meet him in person at the Carolina Chainsaw Massacre back in
Oh
June.
yeah,
Really
yeah.
nice guy, really fun to talk to. And in fact, it was bizarre because I wanted to get a photo with him, and Reed St. Mark from Celtic Frost was standing there, and I'm like, hey,
No
can I
way.
get a photo with you guys? And he's like, and Reed like takes my phone. He's like, here, I'll take the picture. I'm like, no, I want you in this
You
picture
in it.
too. Like
You're never gonna get this
you're a,
experience
you're a
again.
god, you know,
Yeah.
like, so yeah, but yeah, really nice guy. It was great talking to him. He was really cool. But yeah, thank you so much. So for everybody watching out there, please look in the description below. There are links to Eallic's pages. Go to Bandcamp, pick up this album. If you have not heard it, you'll love it. It's fantastic. It's phenomenal stuff. Yeah, definitely check out this band. You're gonna dig it. So thank you so much, Shawn. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to connect with people like you. You're the type of fan that I'm looking for. Someone that's got you know, a lot of interest in music. It helps keep me on my toes. But when we talk like this, it's great. It's reaffirming to know that there are people who dig variety and dig multiple styles, and it just makes me want to expand it. And thanks for the time. Thanks for the support, man. I really appreciate it.
Definitely.